Hey, so we love to talk about sport growth and new programs, and you're the head coach, maybe one of the newest ones, and you're in the state of Arizona where the sport is still growing. So just tell people who maybe this is their first time hearing about Ottawa water polo. What is the story with the program? How'd you get started? And tell us more about it.
Yeah, as you're right. First program, we just had our first year was this past year. Obviously, a lot of things we had to grow and create out here in Arizona. But for a first year program, our school is actually a break off of a school that's in Kansas, not Canada. A lot of people get that mixed up a little bit. Uh, Texas State Championships last year, and I think one of the coaches told me, "Welcome to America." And I was like, "Well, that's why I'm here to spread the word." So yeah, just kind of building and getting the whole idea of water polo here in the state of Arizona really up and going. And yeah, it's been a great year.
We talked with the new head coach of Mount St. Mary's and another new program last week, and that's a team that hasn't even played a first game yet. You've kind of gone through it at least a year or half a year. You didn't finish your women's season. What was the process like of building a team from scratch?
It was a process, a lot of emails, a lot of calls, a lot of just showing up on pool decks and talking to coaches and just spreading the word that, hey, we're here. We're an opportunity for people to get going. Actually, this is about my 1 year anniversary of getting hired on to build it. So it was a crazy year building both the programs and then taking over the swim program. But really fortunate and blessed with the kids and the program that we got to get going, and obviously getting into the schedule and playing everything we did. It was kind of a crazy year, which is capped off with all this craziness. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. So
So Ottawa in a different boat maybe than some other schools in an NAIA level. How does that compare, or what are the differences, if there are any, to maybe a program that people might be more familiar with at Division 1 or at D3 club, that sort of thing?
yeah, so the NAI, actually, there's been some other water polo. So I played at Cal Baptist, and they
Yep.
used to be part of the NAI along with Concordia of Irvine and Fresno Pacific. So kind of gone through the process of this before, just as a student athlete myself. But with being in the NAI, where they really, or I think I've heard some whispers of other programs maybe starting up, but we're the only program. So really, we're just playing Division 1 and Division 3 and all these other schools. And for us, being with the NAI kind of bubble, we don't we get to really pick and choose, and we get to play more games, and we get to travel more and do all that kind of stuff. So there's really a lot of freedom within being NAI, but still playing really anyone and everyone.
And then what does that mean as far as a postseason and that sort of thing?
Currently, we don't have a postseason. So kind of think of how like Notre Dame used to be in football. We kind of
Yep.
just our own little entity. So with that, it's a good and bad thing because again, with that, we don't have conference restrictions. We can really go and travel and play anyone that has an open date and things like that. And we get to play more games. So even with that, I think we played about 15 more games than anybody else last year. So we get a lot more quantity than all that other stuff. Obviously, as we get progressing and going, we'd like to join a conference as Cal Baptist and all those other schools. When they grew up, that's what they did. But at the time being, it's actually worked out really well. We have different like eligibility rules and things like that. So really, a lot of people that maybe didn't have an opportunity at a different type of program, they could still come here and still play, at the D1 level, basically.
Yeah, you answered my next question. Is the longer term goal to get into a conference and to have that sort of postseason experience? And it sounds like it is.
Yeah, 100%. That's our goal as a university and school. And I've had a few other universities reach out to me, hey, what are you doing, kind of thing, and just spreading the word and getting it rolling. So obviously we like to get our own postseason and conference, or join one eventually. But at the time being, we're just kind of rolling with it and we get to travel and play some great polo.
Talking with Austin Raymer from Ottawa in Arizona. People think of Arizona, and and I know I think of it too, given the climate. Why isn't water polo a bigger deal there? There's, of course, no shortage of aquatics. We know about Arizona State on the women's side. There is club water polo. Having been in state, what's your sense of how the game is growing and what the potential for growth is?
I really think the potential is huge here, and that's my goal. Not only with Ottawa growing and being what it can be, but also it's about to launch an age group club team before this COVID-19 started. Because again, baseball and swimming are huge demographics here. We got the sunshine, we got the heat. So as far as water polo, I think it really can grow. And working with USA Water Polo as well in the mountain zone, I really see the potential in here of where this can grow as far as just the sport and getting people active, getting people involved, and really being kind of a pillar in the water polo community. That's the
Yeah, you're
goal.
spot on. I know a lot of folks at the younger age level take part in the Rocktober event that's in Arizona most years, and that seems to get bigger and bigger. If you follow swimming, there's typically one big, if not many, big swim events in Arizona. So it certainly seems like a place that is destined to get a bit bigger. You had that experience of being a SoCal guy, right? Coaching at Murrieta, playing at Cal Baptist. In your experience, how does that help you in trying to lure people out of that area to come to Arizona?
Yeah. Again, Arizona, if you think about it, it's like driving from Southern California up to Fresno. You know, it's
Exactly.
only 4 hours. It's very close. And even just building with what we're doing here is a chance to do something that not a lot of people get to do. You know, we're kind of trailblazing and going from there. And I think now having Ottawa kind of showing this end game as far as, hey, you can play in college, especially in this area, as far as building it and growing it. We have a lot of kids, again, with our different eligibility rules and things like that. It's a great opportunity. They're not too far from home. Yet we're still playing California teams. California heavy is our schedule, and it's it's not as big of a transition as people would think.
We'll certainly take some questions here from some of our viewers. So feel free to drop those in the comments section. We've asked any college coach that's kind of come on here, just more of a best practice thing, and maybe something that you remember from when you were going through the process of being recruited to play. But now with your kind of coaching hat on, what are some things you like to see from people that you're recruiting when it comes to interactions with coaches, and what are some things that are kind of a turnoff?
Um, just just communication. Even with that, obviously we get a lot of emails, a lot of people reaching out to us, but a consistent little ping in the inbox really puts a good, name to the face. And I personally, I like game film. I like seeing the whole entirety of the film because, again, I think we were talking about this with a few other coaches. I like to see the flow of the game. Highlight reels are great, but um, I want to see what you did wrong. I want to see how you reacted to a situation. Even I want to see whether that's good or bad. You know, what kind of athlete are you when it's going really well or going really bad? You know, that kind of tells a lot about the student athlete. And, as far as trying to build a culture and stuff like that, that's what you can really see between the lines rather than just a highlight video or something like that. But as far as the turnoff, I haven't seen any turnoff. Most kids are pretty excited just to talk and again, sharing water polo and building relationships and having that. So, um, yeah, nothing like that.
And you hit on something that Dave Costa from Whittier talked about yesterday as well, showing the entire game film. The highlights are fun, the backhands, the big goals, the game winners. But as a coach, right, you really get a sense for what someone can do seeing them in that full game scenario.
Exactly. And again, how do you react when you make a mistake? How do you react when you do something really great? Like that tells a lot about who you are. And again, especially for us being so young, trying to lay that foundation, build that culture, you know, get the right group of people in here and really build something to where this really can be. That's where I'm looking for, especially as far as picking student athletes and going from there.
You touched on it a bit about the eligibility requirements and some things that set you apart maybe from a different school. I know yesterday Dave was talking about no athletic scholarships at D3 as opposed to, say, D1. What are some of the other things that set you apart from those other Division One, three, club, those programs?
Yeah, so actually, primarily our scholarship is set up on athletic.
Okay.
Now for us, we have a totally different scholarship setup compared to a lot of other like fully funded programs. They only have like 4.5 for guys, and 8 or 9 for girls. Um, we have a totally different setup that's basically allows me to actually give a pretty decent chunk to a lot of people. Now that kind of varies obviously as far as need and ability and things like that. But really for me, I'm able to help everybody as far as like scholarships, things like that. Now we do have academic scholarships, but we're a pretty small school. We only have like 800 undergrad on our campus currently. But saying that, we have 26 varsity sports and 13 club sports. So really, of our 800 students, I think all but 20 of them are athletes. So it's actually a very unique pool. So, but saying that the academic scholarships, they're very competitive, obviously, as a smaller school. Everyone applies for them and things like that. But we're primarily athletic-based scholarships.
And then similar eligibility as far as the typical 4 years to play five. If you played elsewhere, your clock has started, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we don't have the same seasons of play as far as anything like that. As, again,
Yeah,
for transfer students and things like that, we have different master's programs, and seasons of play kind of get stretched out, and you can play a little bit more. So there's a little bit more opportunity to keep going and playing. And again, with our scholarship setup, I can help kind of the whole way as through that. So it makes it very interesting as far as again, a JC person, they might have a little bit extra time here to play, versus
sure.
if they went somewhere else, or age limits or things like that. We can kind of open it up to everybody.
Talking with Austen Raymer from Ottawa University in Arizona. We'll take a couple of questions now here, as we've got a couple of good ones that have come in. Just kind of scrolling back through all the comments here. Looks like we had a question here from someone. It looks like they're from the state of Washington, and maybe this is just, Austin, something you can speak to generally for kids that are outside of the quote unquote hotbeds of water polo. The best way to get recruited, if you're coming from one of those maybe non-saturated areas of water polo like the state of Washington.
Yeah, and that's again where I want to kind of open up Ottawa to all this, like the Mountain Zone and all those other places where these kids are like, hey, I don't know if that's necessarily California, like I can get there or not, because for us, it's us and Air Force Academy in the Mountain Zone, really, for men.
Yeah,
Obviously, ASU, they have women's and things like that. But to get recruited, again, contact game film. Obviously, if you don't have game film, things like that, let me know your game schedules, things like that. I try to go to as many things as I possibly can. I went to Tennessee state championships. I went to Texas state championships. I've been to Utah's. I go all over. So you let me know there's a game. I'm like try to be there. So.
Another question here from Beth Ann. Can you describe what kind of student athlete is a good fit for your program?
Yeah, obviously we're a small Christian university, so we have a faith base as far as that aspect. So that's important to us. But another thing is I want someone just with a great attitude, as far as, especially with us as we're building this, there's a ton of things. We don't have the same restrictions as the D3 training schedule. We're kind of have a D1 kind of attitude with that, but a lot of flexibility. So I want someone who's willing and able and comes every day to work with joy, and just gets after it. That's what I want. I want that kind of infectious attitude. We have an expression around here. It's called Cookie Monster. Like we just get after it, get after it, get after it. And if you show up every day with joy in your heart and get after the work, then good things are going to happen. So that's the biggest thing for me is attitude. And again, that goes back to the game film thing. I want to see how you react when it's good. I want to see how you react when it's bad. I want to see the kind of person you are between the lines as far as that, because obviously as we're building this and growing it, we got a lot of work to do. So if you don't really have joy in your heart, then it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for you.
Any coach I've talked to that's starting a new program either from scratch or they're restarting it after it's been dormant, they can always offer typically playing time, a chance to be part of a new history, try and create something. But then also for that recruit, there's also a little bit of a leap of faith for kind of signing on to the unknown. How do you kind of balance those two things when you're going after someone or trying to ask someone to come and join your squad?
Well, I just rely on my past experiences. Again, being at Cal Baptist from an NAI school, I was there my first 2 years. It was NAI. My last 2 years were NC2A D2. So like I've gone through this before. So I guess that what gives me confidence. Faith in God too. There's a lot of unknowns. I just kind of throw it on Him. But as far as is getting into that and building it, it's an opportunity that not a lot of people get to have, and for us, we get to create a standard. We get to go after it. That's the reason we play the teams that we play is, you only learn how to swim in the deep end, like you got to get after it. And for us to not make this opportunity everything that it can be would be a waste of an opportunity, I feel like. So again, some people look at that, man, that sounds like a lot of work, or other people say, how cool is that? And so again, that goes back to the attitude aspect of it. We got a lot of work to do, but again, what we're doing, not a lot of people can say that they've done. So if you're looking the big picture as far as resume building and things like that, you can really kind of stand out as far as, hey, like I help create something, I help create a legacy.
Your first men's season complete, got through some of your women's season. Obviously, you talked about this building process, so there were certainly some more losses than wins at this outset. But to get that first win for each of those programs, what was that moment like for you?
It's a lot of fun. for both teams, because again, the schedule that we played was again brutal, and I did that on kind of on purpose. I knew we were gonna have some growing pains, but I'd rather just kind of really have some growing pains and learn from it and expose the guys and the girls to that. So our first part of the season for both, it was tough. We were playing top 10 teams, you know, and really grinding and getting after it. And we had small teams as well. Like my guys, we only had 11 this past year. The girls had, when we were healthy, 10. So again, these other teams had 30 people on their rosters. So it's like, hey, you're going to play, you're going to learn. And then it just kind of made all that, the culmination of that hard work and the sacrifice and all those lessons that were learned. We finally did get those first wins. It did make it sweet. And I think, you know, the guys season, we had great momentum going into the off season, and the girls, we were really catching some momentum. You know, we're starting to really get competitive with these teams. And I think the kids really started seeing that. They started seeing all that hard work and those sacrifices paying off. And everything was trending in the right direction, obviously, before COVID, but we'll get back at it. So it's all good.
We're talking with Austen Raymer from Ottawa University here. Just a couple of more questions that have come in. You talked about starting a youth club earlier. Molly followed up on that with a question, but just kind of if you can talk more about your plans to get some age group water polo going and why that's important, not just maybe to help feed your program, but to help grow the sport in the state.
Yeah, so I created a club team called Covey Aquatics, Covey like quail, kind of a where we go one, we go all kind of attitude. With the age group, I was working with Topaz, with John and Jennifer down in Mesa. We were trying to get an age group club or kind of a league kind of going here, just so there's games kind of every Saturday. I relied on when I lived in Australia, they had flippaballs, which is their splash ball, which every Saturday they'd have a little barbecue and the kids would get 3 or 4 games, stuff like that. So just kind of getting the foundation laid out, because again, we kind of have the ceiling now as far as, you know, Ottawa and our program, but now if we get the floor kind of there, we can kind of connect in the middle. Also, us being a liberal arts business school, a lot of my kids are trying to become teachers, so bringing in coaching staff and stuff like that. So if again, get these kids here, building the sport, doing things like that, you know, hopefully we can go to the high schools. Hey, you know, we have a qualified coaching staff. We have this, and then build it up, not even from age group, but our goal really, again, working with John is we were about to start a Masters League here. With the hopes of next year, hopefully, you know, trying to create and establish a National League team and just kind of build water polo here. So that's the goal with everything, from Ottawa to age group to National League. Like, really, I think Arizona has the potential to be one of, if not the better states in water polo. Currently, it's got some work to do, but the movement's on, so to speak. So we're here, we're building, we're grinding, we're getting after it. So again, to do anything less than that, I think it'd just be a waste of an opportunity. So again, all my kids pretty bought in. Again, leaning on John at Topaz and Jennifer at Mesa and all these other clubs, for, you know, working together and really just trying to build it and keep it going.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of the reasons why it would make sense for things to grow in Arizona, and now you're another dedicated person there, hopefully driving things in the right direction. We go back to the questions. The latest one here: how do you gauge your skill level for scholarships? This question says, I come from more of an academic high school, so there isn't as much encouragement for college athletics.
As far as gauging it, as far as potential or things like that, I like to think of myself as a pretty fundamental guy. I know if any of my kids are watching, they're probably rolling their eyes right now. We do a lot of like just working on throwing and hip positioning and things like that as far as gauging it. We got kids really a lot of different levels and aspects, but it doesn't matter really. I feel like in the level, if you do the little things correctly, it makes the biggest difference. So again, seeing film, meeting you, you know, coming out to campus, obviously before this, to get a visit in, come practice with the team. You can kind of gauge it and go from there. But really, everybody, I want to help everybody as much as I can. So again, with our scholarship setup, I can. So again, I'm looking for people who are willing and able to kind of take on, you know, help us push the plow here, so to speak. And again, that kind of gauges it from there. But everybody, I like to help as much as I possibly can.
Next question from Jason is, when in high school should students start contacting college coaches like yourself?
For me, until I get an assistant, I like it, a year or two out. That helps me
Okay.
just kind of stay on top of it. If you're, class of 2025, that might be a little tougher to get on you. But again, I kind of talked about this before. If you turn me into your quote unquote pen pal, if you're constantly sending me stuff, hey coach, just had a game, or we have this, even if you're far out as far as the recruiting process, it just plants the seed in my head. Oh yeah, hey, I remember Joe. He kept sending me, hey, he's a great kid. He sent me this. Oh, he's doing this. And again, if I'm in the area or if I can get, to a game or something like that, that's again, keep beeping on the radar. That's the best way to stay in the loop, so to speak.
A lot of people are hungry to get back in the pool. They don't have access to a pool. They miss their team. What are some things that you're sharing with your teams to help them stay active? Maybe things they can do as far as workouts if they don't have access to a pool.
Yeah, it's tough sledding. I actually went swimming at a lake the other day because if I run anymore, my knees might explode. There's a reason why I'm in aquatics. Our strength and conditioning coaches, they do a fantastic job. They do daily devotionals and home workouts on Instagram. So having the kids just follow that, that's the biggest thing. As far as just staying in shape and controlling what you can control, really, as far as going that. But our strength and conditioning coaches, Coach Hodgson and Hernandez, they do a fantastic job of just body weight stuff. And again, even leading the kids through faith and devotionals and things like that. So they do that every day.
We're talking with Austen Raymer from Ottawa University. Fairly new team, just one season in the books here in Arizona. Take a couple of more questions here. So you have this kind of downtime now. We all have this downtime. I think a lot of folks have reflected on their love for water polo, whether you're a player, a coach, referee, whatever it is. As we've all been forced away from the game, what have you found that you liked most about being involved in this sport since now you can't do it?
It's a great question. The thing I miss most is just kind of the routine and the grind and coming to practice every day, working with the kids. We have a common goal for us, especially without a postseason. Every game for us is kind of a championship game, so it's a new opportunity to get better and just get after it. So just the daily interaction and the grind and working together all towards a common goal and traveling and doing all that kind of stuff that we did. That's the biggest thing that I miss is just kind of the community and the camaraderie that we had. Just kind of especially shaping and building this, because it's not just me building this program, it's all of us. This is a full team collective, from me to our last person on the bench. We're all in this together and just building it. So that's the fun part. That's the thing I miss the most. And most of my kids are back home in California and stuff like that. I'm just here, so just holding down the hatch, and just going from there. But yeah, I would say that just the daily work, and that's what I miss most.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time here to talk with us before you head out. Any other things you want people to know about the program and about water polo growing in Arizona?
As far as the program, again, we have a different kind of setup. So really able to help everybody that we can, as much as we can as far as scholarships. So if they're interested, just fill out a questionnaire online. As far as water polo in Arizona goes, I think I speak for all of us on behalf, and we're just excited and ready to get back to work because again, we had such great momentum before this pandemic hit, and all of us here are just excited about where this is going and what it can be. So.
Excellent. Well, Austen, best of luck when things get back to normal here with year 2 in Ottawa, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.